Guys, it's Hexy. Hey, I wanted to shoot this last night, but I got wrapped up in something. But we finished two more turns in Longstreet attacks here, and we are playing the full battle called Hammer and Sickles. Um, as each turn goes by, I start to get a little more adept or efficient at or being a little more fluid with the play, and it gets better with each turn. So I'm hoping that by the time I get through most of this, I'll be really extremely efficient with the game. Um, the only thing I'm going to say about this game that throws me for a loop is well, not that I wish they would switch is put out a standard rules and then have the sub rules for each of the particular games, kind of like Standard Combat Series does for MMP. Because the rules for the booklets all pretty much lay out and look the same, but then it to an extent you almost got to read through all the rules again to find where the changes are made. Not all of it, but sometimes they just add something new. But it seems to me like looking at the same rule book and then having to go through and read all, which I guess for someone that needs to read multiple times to learn is probably a good thing. But I would rather see a standard rules and then have the sub rules for the series, like a scenario rules or playbook, whatever you want to call it. All right, so we are through we've played through the 5 p.m. turn. We're going to start the 5:20 turn. So this is game turn 5. We're going to start. So we just played 3 and 4. So we're through 4 game turns. Okay. It's amazing how far Hood has gotten up in here. There's really not much. There's nothing really going on to the far side of the map yet. Anderson, he is still deployed but not able to activate. It'll be 2 notes. He doesn't activate for another 5 game turns, I think. So 4 or 5. But McClaws has just now activated, and what terrible die rolls for McClaws. I think I rolled 2 6s, and 2 of the brigades couldn't even move. They were limited activation. Matter of fact, I think I did 3 of them, and then I think I drew a chit or something. Maybe it was a Longstreet. I don't remember, but they didn't get very far, and you can't see them, but they're starting right down in here right now. I'll show you that in a second. But let's talk about Hood. So Hood's attack's been interesting. I'll tell you what, this game goes back and forth pretty cool. And it seems to me, by all the books and stuff that I've read or documentaries that looked at it, this is simulating a Civil War battle line fight. The chaos, the confusion, the back and forth over objective areas or this hill or that field or whatever, it's not doing too bad a job. Seeing how the regiments can get broken up from each other because one charges and one gets driven back while the other one's still charging. It's doing a really, really decent job of that. All right, so here's the deal. Law he hasn't moved much, but he's chased some Union units out of here in the gap between the round tops. Benning, he's gone up over top and took the victory point on top of Big Round Top. And remember, the victory point locations, you get points for it every turn. If you're the one that owns it at the end of the turn, you get to count that victory point each turn. So I was doing it wrong when I first started, but it was easy for me to adjust it and catch up and get it right. So in reality, the game starts off with the Union getting all these victory points. I think it's like 11 from the start out of the scenario rules for this. And then as the Confederates start taking stuff, it starts to shift. So right now it's been one of those deals where the Union goes up like 11 each turn, and the Confederates took them down 4. Then they take them down 5. So I'm sure over time here that's going to balance out because there's a whole bunch of hexes that the Confederates can get points for that the Union don't get points for maintaining, like the Trossel Farm right here. This hex over here on Emmitsburg Road. There's a bunch of them for the Confederates. Now, the Confederates still own Devil's Den and Houck's Ridge. They own all of it. Okay, so they're getting those 4 points. They get the Big Round Top. They're getting the point for that. And now McClaws we'll come to McClaws in a minute. So Anderson finally got into the fight. Robertson got into the fight. He did a big bunch of dams over here on the 3rd Corps and Day's 5th Corps Brigade coming in. He put a smacking on a couple of their units that came after him. Matter of fact, they were in the defensive posture and drove two attacking units out. There are 4 regiments on the broken track. 2 of them will be able to come back on this turn if I use the orders and get lucky enough on the die rolls to bring them back in. And so the Union has 5 regiments sitting over there in the broken track. and the Confederates have one from Anderson, who I was going to try to rebuild him sitting there, but you got to wait until they're down to the availability box. So there's 4 boxes on the broken track. Matter of fact, let's pop over there real quick. You got 4 boxes, and depending on what kind of cohesion roll they get, skedaddle or whatever, or cohesion test, they'll end up in one of these boxes, and at the end of each turn, they start moving down until they hit this box, where you can rebuild them or bring them back in, depending on what kind of orders you give and what kind of die rolls you get. So, all right. So that's that. And so there's no number losses. You don't take number losses. You can flip them to their battle-worn side, or they can get shaken or disrupted. So it's a very, very simple damage reduction system. And a guy like me who likes those things like Terrible Swift Sword, where you change that number or you circle that box like in Civil War Brigade series, this game, okay, here comes. This game is refreshing. If you like Civil War, now this is only the second one I played, okay? If you like pretty tactical Civil War games, beautiful maps, gorgeous counters, big counters, these are good ones. It's got enough detail to give you great representation, but the detail is not so bad that you're going to struggle with the game. All right. Granted, I have not mastered these rules yet, and it'll probably be a little bit longer before I can, well, of course, you really never master them unless you're one of these 50-year squad leader players. But what I consider, if I get to 90-95% of the rules, understanding where I don't have to look at the book, then to me, I've mastered the game, in my opinion, because I can pull it out and play it at any time. It's like Terrible Swift Sword. I can pull it out and play it at any time, and I don't have to look at the rule book for 1 or 2 things that you never seem to maintain. All right. So the Confederates. Big round top. Big round top here. Devil's Den and Houck's Ridge here. They own them. Little round top here. All right. But you'll notice these Union brigades, look at their cohesions. 3, 2. They're flipped. 3, 3, 2. -1 there. 3. There's a 5 right there. 1st Minnesota. You know who they are. All right. 19th Maine. 15th Mass. 82nd New York. One of Ward's guys that's fallen back. One of their sharpshooters. Berdan's guys. A couple of artillery batteries sitting in front of the little round top. So this is going to be a fight. The Confederates are only down 1 regiment, and they've got probably 3 that are flipped to their battle-worn side. They broke across and took the far end of the hill here on Houck's Ridge. And these 2 brigades from the 5th Corps are not activated yet. All right. 5th Corps commander was it Sykes? He's not in here for some reason. So the division commander, Ayers, is the only one here in the game. So you got to draw the special chit, which, by the way, the event chits, I'm doing them blind. I'm picking them blind. I'm not choosing. I find it, and what's really cool to myself, what I'm doing is when I pick the chits, like if I pick 4 for the Union, I throw them in the cup. I make sure that the other ones that are left in my hand, I put them upside down over there off the side of the map so that I don't know what I threw in the cup. So it's kind of surprising when I draw a chit that really pays off. And so there you go. There's my little blind play of that stuff there. All right, so 5th Corps has a couple of regiments, or a couple of brigades that have moved in, or they have 3 actually, that are moved over this way, and they're going to try to stop the fight, which, if you think about it, where was the 20th Maine from? They were from the 5th Corps. Where's the 20th Maine right now? They are not over here in the fight. They're in Vincent's brigade, and they're sitting over here right now. They're not activated yet, but that'll be changing here shortly. So Hood's doing his thing, and now McLaws is jumping off. All right, and here comes McLaws, and like I say, terrible rolls for McLaws. So the intention for me right now with McLaws is to drive straight into the corner of the Peach Orchard. We need to get these victory locations here, and then link up on the left side of Hood's drive and try to push across through the wheat field and the other places there and take those victory locations. And then applying the Emmetsburg Road attack theory, which is what Lee had initially decided to do that got changed by Sickles, is more of a Tawnytown Road attack. So driving across this way, taking these victory locations as they go. Eventually, all of this Union stuff's going to get activated. And there are multiple brigades. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think there's 4 brigades of Union reinforcements that are eventually going to come on back over that way up there somewhere. So All right, Anderson, you can see the end of his line sitting here. Another 5 turns, he'll get activated. And I'm really curious to see what happens with that once he gets into the action, because he's got some pretty, these aren't Hoods and McClaw's boys, but they're decent. Okay, I tell you, an interesting addition to this game would have been is as an alternative, where Hood has all 3 of his divisions, or Longstreet has all 3 of his divisions up here, where Pickett is over here in this area. I think that would make for an interesting alternative scenario to this. All right, so this is Longstreet attacks. We're through 4 turns. We're getting ready to start the 20-minute increments. All right, reminds me of old Terrible Swift Sword. So 3 turns for every hour. And this fighting, like I say, the fighting in here in front of Little Round Top is going to get really, really interesting, because the Confederates, they need to drive on Little Round Top before the floodgates of reinforcements for the Union or the releases of units for the Union start to counter that. All right? Can't give you a casualty count because there's really no way to do that in this game, and it's not based on that. It's just based on what they call depletion of units and whether or not you can get them rebuilt. And it's kind of tough to get them rebuilt because their morales are so bad in the availability box. And you can do a rebuild on it, and if you can get them rebuilt, then their cohesions go back up to their full strength size, and then it's a little bit easier to get them back into the game. But that's kind of cool because, what was it? Was it the first Minnesota that lost? Was it 82% of their force? So, nobody was completely wiped from the face of the earth in the battle, but a lot of units were completely decimated. So once again, just for your all's general knowledge, the yellow counters you see there, one side is called shaken, one side is called disrupted, and then the little light tan counters are skirmish order counters. That's it. There's your informational counters for this game. That's your onboard casualty telling counters for this game. Really, really clean, really, really simple, but also enough detail to make this a really, really well-balanced game to play. If you got one, get it out, play it, post something about it. Let Herman Lutman know what you think about the game, because, I'm impressed. All right, now that I've got into my second game, I'm actually really impressed with the system. All right, so we're done here with the Longstreet attacks done with 4 turns. We're going to get on to 5 and 6 there. We're also working on our Chickamauga game on the other side. I've already started playing the next set of turns in that. And I still got Medwar Sicily that over here the people want to see me go ahead and finish playing it. And I'm going to give it another shot at 2 turns and see what happens over there. All right, let's get this posted, y'all, see what's going on. All right, the sexy guys, later.